Hello friends, welcome to the Full Stack Development YouTube channel, and in this video session we are going to build the movie full stack application. To build this full stack application we are going to use MongoDB as a database, Spring Boot as a backend and Angular as a front end. Let's quickly see the overview of our full stack movie application. So we are currently on the home page where we can see full screen slider. When we click on the arrow icon, it will change the screen using ng-bootstrap slider. And we have here play button icon. When we click on the play button icon, it will start the trailer on the next page. And when we click on the review button, it will redirect us to the next page where we can submit the review for this movie. And we can see the review also. Let's start the development without any further delay. So we are going to refer nodes from this application. So you have to redirect on way2programming.com. Here we have the full stack link. Click on this link, and after that you will be redirect on the directly to movie app full stack development with Java, Spring Boot, Angular and MongoDB. But in the future it might redirect, when you click on the full stack it might redirect to the different screen. So you have to see this heading first, movie app full stack development with Spring Boot, Angular and MongoDB. So here we have everything step by step available. So if you will see, currently there are total 29 steps to build this movie full stack application. We are going to start from step 1. So the step 1 for us, we should have MongoDB installed in our machine. If you don't have, and if you are using the Windows based machine, you can use this guide to install MongoDB in your machine. So you have to search MongoDB community server in your Google. So let's search this, and here the first link is MongoDB community server download. So click on that link, and here you can see version 7.00 is the current stable version, and we can download this MSI file for the Windows based machine. And then after that you have to just start the installation. Click next, and then accept, and then next, and then click on the complete. And here if you will see, Mango Shell must be installed separately for the Windows installation. So this Mango Shell is required for the, we can do operation through the command prompt. So we are not using command prompt, so this we are not going to install. And the step 4 is we have to just go with install MongoDB as a service. Click next, and then install MongoDB Compass. So this is the important thing, we should have MongoDB Compass. So to perform the operation related to database through the UI client, so you should install this MongoDB Compass and then click install. Once it will done, finish it, and then you can see MongoDB Compass will be looking like this. Here we have by default localhost as a new connection with port 27017, and just connect to this localhost URI. So let me open the MongoDB Compass in my machine, MongoDB Compass, and here we can see the default connection link is MongoDB //localhost 27017. Click on this. Now we connected to localhost 27017. Here I already have movie apidb, so I am going to drop this movie apidb database, and we are going to recreate movie apidb. Collection name is movies. Now our database and collection is created. So our first step is completed now. So the next task is set up database. In this task, we need to insert some data manually to display in the UI. We need to display the poster of the movie and backdrop. Backdrop is nothing, just the images, collection of the images. So this is the background image that we saw, right? And then we have release date, title, imdbId, and the genres, right? These are the things we are going to insert for the few movies manually. So let's copy this data, go to our MongoDB compass. So here is the add data link button. Click on insert document, paste it, insert. Here we can see objects are displaying related to the movies. So the next task is create Spring Boot project from the Spring Initializer. So we have to launch Spring Initializer, and we need to give our group name, artifact name, and description. So you may give according to you. So I have given my group name as B2P, artifact movies, simple Spring Boot API project. Okay, all good. Now we need 4 dependency: Lombok, Spring Wave. So Lombok is needed for the generating the boilerplate code like getter, setter, and we need Spring Wave, and we need Spring Data MongoDB to connect to the MongoDB database. Spring Data MongoDB, and then lastly is Spring Boot DevTools. So we can ignore DevTools because we are not going to use DevTools much. And download, generate the project. And before generating the project, please make sure you selected the Maven as a build tool, and language is Java, and Spring Boot 3.13 is currently the stable version. So here we need not to do any change. And finally generate the project. So extract this project. So I think we extracted movies inside movies. So let's cut this movies, paste again. So now we can see the files, and now we can remove the zip file. So I already have one project running in my local. So let me stop this project and close this project. Now I can open the new one that I created just now, movie app. Okay, trust project. So Maven build script found, load. Okay, this I am not going to do any change automatically. Okay, so the dependencies are downloading for the project. Actually we have imported the movie folder, movie app folder instead of movies folder. So let's close this project again, open again, movie app, select the movies. Let's try to run the project. So now our project is running on port 8080. Let's try to launch. So we can see white label error page, error message. So it means there is no controller found currently for this route. So this is the valid error. It means our server is running fine. So now the next task is we need to add the database property in application property so that we can connect to the database. So here is, if you will see, Spring Data MongoDB database and Spring Data MongoDB URI. These are the two property. So let's type this two property: Spring Data MongoDB database equal to and Spring Data MongoDB URI. This two property we need to connect to the database. So in the first property we need to provide our database name. So we can see here movie API DB is our database name, and URI is, so this is the URI, and we can copy from here also, copy connection string and paste here. Now let's start. Now our application is connected to the database successfully, and we can see Tomcat started on port 8080. Let's move to the next task. So securing database value in env file, and ignore this file for JIT. So basically when we have URI MongoDB URI in Spring application properties file, so this URI is containing, if you are using MongoDB Atlas URL, right? So this URL is containing your username and password, and we don't want to show this information to the GitHub, right? Sometimes GitHub repository is public. So for that, actually we have to create one file called .env file. So we need to create .env file, and we need this dependency spring.env dependency we need, and we can provide information inside this env file as a key and value pair. Here we can see local Mongo database name, user is localhost, port is this, right? So this we can read in our application properties with $curly brace and env file name. .env is the file name, right? So we can use env.local MongoDB database. So let's copy this dependency, update in our dependency section. Okay, now create env file in our resource section, resources folder. Create this MongoDB properties. I'm not typing just to save the time, right? And after that we need application.property. We need to update with this variables, so we can replace just to save the time. Okay, let's stop the server and try again. Now our server is still working fine. It means the configuration is successfully done for the .env file. So the next task is we need to develop the entities or models for our application. So if you will see, the entities is nothing just model for our database. So if you will see in the MongoDB compass, we are using, these are the properties for our one object, right? imdbId, title, release date, trailer link, generous, poster, backdrops, and review IDs. So same structure we need in our models. So if you will see, we have this same structure here, and only the difference here is we are not using ID as an integer, we are using as an object ID, and this object ID from the org Bason types object ID. And if we are using SQL, then we should use here integer, right? And instead of using SQL properties, we are using here MongoDB document to map to the entities, and collection is movies name, and here collection is reviews. So let's create this model. So create the package models. First model is movie, and here we need to say @document from org Spring Framework data MongoDB core mapping document. Okay, collection, yeah, please make sure here you are using collection. Sometime we are using this collision and our application will not work then, right? So here we need to say movies, and @data from Lombok, @no arc constructor, @all arc constructor. We want to create all the argument constructor using this Lombok notation, and now we need to start our properties define, right? Private object ID, and here we need to say @ID. Let me confirm this @ID is from the org Spring Framework data annotation ID. Here also org Spring Framework data annotation ID. Okay, fine. And rest of the ID I am copying from here just to save some time, right? We need list from util, Java util, and this is the document reference. Let me copy, then we will discuss. @document reference. So this document reference, we are targeting review model here. We have not yet created, so let me create a review model here, then we will rediscuss this. So we need this all property again. So document collection, right? Make sure you are using collection here. If you will use collision, it won't work. Document data all arc constructor, no arc constructor, review, right? Only two property is enough, body and object ID and string body. Okay, so now if you will see in the movie, so when we create our when we post the review for our application using post call, so in the movie section this will contain only the review ID, will contain the IDs only for the reviews, and here we will not have body. But when we fetch the data for this movies, automatically it will fetch the data for the review also based on the ID. So if you will see currently in our compass, we have only movies database, sorry, movies collection, but when we insert, automatically here reviews will be created. That reviews collection will be containing the ID as well as body, right? Sorry, it is a body, yeah. And but our movies will be containing the IDs only, and when we fetch a movie, automatically it will fetch the review ID from the another collection, that is the reviews. Now let's move to the next task. It is about develop movie repository, step 7. So the develop movie repository, this movie repository is going to extend the Mango repository. This Mango repository have the implementation for find all and other methods. Let's see all the methods. So here we can see insert, find all with different with sorting kind of feature. So these are the inbuilt functionality we are going to use from this. So we are not going to use all the APIs, all the functions, just we need currently find all. So let's quickly build the movie repository. So first we need to create the repository package. And then we need to say class interface movie repository. It will extend the Mongo repository, and it will take two type. The first is movie is the type, and object ID is our ID. So if you will see in this movie document, we have ID as a object ID. So this information is needed for the repository. And then here we need to say repository so that it will be found by the Spring Boot. Now the next task is we are going to get all movies. So we created in the previous task Mango repository. It is having find all function that we are going to call from to get all movie. So first we need to create the movie service. This movie service will have the dependency of movie repository, and we are creating function all movies, and from this all movies we will call movie repository find all function. And then from the controller we call this our movie service function, get all movies function to get all the movies. So let's build this service first. New package is service, class movie service. It should have the annotation as service so that it will find by the Spring Boot to auto wired. And then we need movie repository. So make sure first we need to give the type in Java side, and then we need to give the variable name, right? But if you are when you will work on the Angular, first we need to give the variable name, then colon, then type. So little bit difference is there just to declare the variable. So we want to auto wired this, auto wired, and then public list of movies, stop movies, all movies, return movie repository dot find all. Right, this list is from Java util. Okay, so now our service is ready. Let's create the controller, package controller, movie controller. So here we need to say REST controller and request mapping. So we want to bind this as a API/v1/movies. So API/v1/movies, right? Then we need to auto wired our service, private. First we need to give the type, so movie service, then variable of for this movie service. In Java, in Angular it is opposite, right? And using this request mapping, we are calling this get mapping, right? So here we don't have any mapping. It means when we call this get mapping, automatically this get mapping will get called defaultly. So let's create one more function, public. So basically first return the list of movie. So get all movies, return movie service dot all movies, right? It will return the list of movie, list from Java util. But since this part is handling our response, so here we should say response entity of list of movie, and here we need to say new response entity type of movie, sorry, type of list of movie, and here we should call the function and then return the status. So the HTTP status is HTTP status okay 200. So whenever we find all the movie, we are returning 200 status. Let's try this in the Postman. Here we already have this API slash v1 slash movie. Let's see if it is working or not. Not found. Let's see what is wrong here. So actually we forgot to say the get mapping here at the rate get mapping. So we are not providing any mapping. It means whenever this request mapping will get called, by default this get mapping will call this function and return the object for this mapping. So let's run the project again. Let's try now. Yeah, now we can see the movies object are written from the MongoDB. Now is the next task is step 9, get one movie using imdbId. So we have two page, trailer page and review page. Here we need to display only one movie trailer, and here we need to display the reviews. So to do that, we need to define one function in our movie repository. It is a custom find method, right? So here we need to say find movie by imdbId, and we need to make sure this variable name is matches with the upper camel case, right? So let's define this function in our service, sorry, in our repository, optional movie. So this function is going to return optional movie. Here we are saying find movie by imdbId, and that's all. Here we need to pass the imdbId also, imdbId. Okay, so now this will fetch the data from the database. We need to just call this from our movie service. So go to movie service, public movie, get movie by imdbId, and here say string imdbId, movie repository dot find movie by imdbId. So here our service method work is completed. but here is some error. So it is returning actually optional movie. So same we need to say here. Okay, now we need to call this from our controller. So we can see this get mapping with imdbId. So go to our controller, public response entity. It will return the optional movie movie, right? Get movie by imdbId, and then return movie service. So new response entity. Here also we need to say same type, optional. Here we need to say movie dot get imdbId. So here we have get mapping, right? Get mapping, and this value we are getting from the path variable. So path variable, how to give in Java? Slash and curly braces, and then the variable name. So slash curly braces and then the variable name. Then we can get this in our as a path variable in our in this function constructor. Path variable string path, sorry, imdbId, right? Here we can pass to this function, and then once it is find, we need to say http status okay. Okay, super. So let me stop and try. So let's rerun. So we can try with this first object imdbId. So let's see if our server is running up. Yes, it is running up. Let's go to this imdbId. So first let me put this id, and we need this URL. Now call. So we are getting internal server error. Why? Let us check. So this is our controller. Here we have API v1 movies, and this is the imdbId. Okay, imdbId. Okay, let me rerun. Okay, let's try now. Yeah, this time we got the object using imdbId. Now the next task is step 10, create review repository and service, and add the custom constructor in review model. So the first task is create review repository. So we are going to post the review from the review page. So let's prepare the review repository. Copy this, go to controller, review repository. Sorry, something is not good here. Let me delete. Class review repository. Okay, it will extend the Mango repository. Type is review, and object ID is the type. And here we will see the repository. What is wrong here? So actually it is not the class, it is the interface. So interface Okay, now our review repository is ready to insert the data, but we need to actually create the, if you will see here, we need to add the custom constructor in our review model. So why we need this? Because object ID will be taken care by the database side, so we only need to insert the body. So that we need to create this custom constructor. So let me go to review, and here we can click right and refactor. Sorry, here we need to say generate constructor using body. Okay, so this constructor is ready now. Now let's create the review service. So review service having the dependency of review repository. This review repository class is extending the Mongo repository, and Mongo repository having functionality for insert into the database. So we need to insert into the reviews collection. We already created that reviews collection model here. So, and we also created the custom constructor where we can set the body only. So that part is done. Now once we insert it, it will return the inserted review, and we also need to update the movies collection. So in each of the movies collection we have, sorry, in each of the movies object we have the review ID. So let's say once we inserted reviews, we also need to map the ID to the movies, so that when we call the get movies function, so it will able to fetch the reviews. So for that we have to call mongo template update provide the movie class. Matching criteria is it should find based on the imdbId and apply the transaction push into this review ID, and then update the first record based on the finding matching criteria. So if you will say here all, it will update all the record where this criteria will match, but we have to just update once because this is the unique criteria, right? We don't have duplicate imdbId records. So let's implement this functionality. Create review service class, give it annotation service and private mongo template it auto byte auto byte public create public review create review. So we are going to return the review once it is created. We need two parameters. One is review body, another is imdbId from the UI imdbId, and we have review repository. We can call insert function, and we already created the custom constructor for the review where we can just set the review ID. Once we do this, it will return the review object. So now we can return this inserted review, but with this we are completed the insertion of the review in the reviews collection, but we also need to map the review ID in the movies. So for that we need mongo template update movie class. So matching criteria, so let's say matching criteria where, so where is the function in criteria where the review ID imdbId is this ID, and after that we need to say apply new update and push, provide the key value review IDs, and then value is this inserted review ID, and lastly first, so it will update the first record. Okay, so with this our review service is ready. Now the next task is step 11, where we need to create the review controller and test the endpoint. So create review controller. In this review controller we have to call the create review function of the review service, so that we need the review service dependency. And here we have request body. In the request body we mapped this with the Java util map as a key and value pair. So this payload can have any number of key and value pair, but we are reading only the review body and imdbId. It means from the UI we have to send this review body and imdbId, and then we are calling the review service create review by taking the value of these key. And this post mapping is not having any value. It means the class level request mapping will call this create review function. So let's start the implementation for this. Let's create the review controller. It is a REST controller, and we have to say request mapping, and I am going to copy this value API v1 reviews, and we need to auto wire the review service, and then public we have to say response entity because we are going to return the response. So here we are going to return the reviews. So review and create review. It will have the request body as a map string, both are type of string, and this map is from Java util. Payload, right? So once we have the payload, here we need to say return new response entity. It is also type of review, and review service dot create review. We need to read the two value payload dot get the review body, and we need to say payload dot get. Second parameter is imdbId. So why it is complaining? Okay, it is not JavaScript, so we need to say here double quote okay, and then finally we need to say here http status dot created. Yeah, with this our controller work is completed, and finally we need to map this with the post mapping. Now let's test the endpoint. So we need to test this endpoint. It will trigger this post mapping. Create the request, add request, and say create review is the name for this request. It is a post call, and we need to select till port 8080, then type our endpoint. Select body, it is a type raw body, and here we need to say JSON. So let's construct the JSON request. So the first parameter is review body, and the second parameter we need is imdbId. let us get all movie, and from there we will take one imdbId. So I am going to pick the first object imdbId, and here let's say nice movie or whatever the comment we want to provide. Okay, so send this. Now we can see the status is 2 node 1 created, and we can see the returned object of review is returned by the response. So let's see whether it is updated in the database or not. So currently there is no reviews collection, but when we refresh we can see reviews collection is there. It is having id, body, and underscore class is by default by default Spring Boot and MongoDB is maintaining. We need not to worry about this. And in the movies, if we see in the reviews ID, we have this object ID, right? It is same as the reviews ID. So it means in the reviews we don't have all the properties, just we have IDs, and in the reviews we have the data. But when we fetch movies, it will return all the reviews, right? Let's test now the get call for the movies. Now you can see here we are getting object with the ID and body, means we are getting complete object, but even though we have stored only the review ID in the movies collection. So with this our backend development is completed. Hello friends, hope you are successfully able to follow the backend development part, and now we are starting our front-end development and in Angular 16. Hope you will like this video. Now let's start the development of our Angular front-end. So first we need to create the Angular project. To create the Angular project, I am hoping that you already installed the Node.js in your machine. If you haven't, please install the Node.js. Then after that, after installing Node.js, you have to install the Angular CLI globally, so that you are able to perform the command related to the Angular CLI using ng. So I am already done this step till Angular CLI. So I am starting creating Angular project using this ng-new. So I will use the same folder where we develop our backend, ng-new movie frontend. So when you will create the project, please make sure you are installing with Angular routing, so that you need not to reconfigure. And please select the SCSS, because we are using SCSS here. It will take some time based on the internet speed. So now our project is installed successfully. So after creating the project, we need to create the proxy conf.js file, and this proxy conf.js file is required the Winston dependency. So Winston, what it will do, it will log the proxy related information into the console. So what is this proxy actually? So proxy is needed. For example, your front end will be running on port 4200 and your backend will be running on port 8080. So to communicate between two different port, when we call the API from our front end port 4200 directly to 800 port of our backend, so browser will throw the error called CORS. CORS error means cross origin resource sharing error. So to avoid that issue, we are going to configure this proxy configuration. So let's create this proxy conf, and after creating the project, let's open this project into the editor. Let's open new terminal, create proxyconf.js file into the root of the project, copy the content from here, paste here. So if you will see, we are using the Winston, and then this is just a log provider, and then this is the line of code will do the magic. Let's say if you will call the API from your 4200 port, it will change the target to this target. So let's install the Winston now. Okay, Winston is installed now. Let's try to run the server. So we should able to see the proxy related log. So proxy related log is not displaying. It is almost building is completed for the project. So let's see what is missing. Okay, so we need to configure the proxy file location in angular.json file. So search for serve and then put this option section there. So go to angular.json, search for serve, and after the builder enter, paste, and then comma, and we need to change this app name to our app name, and alt shift F to format the code. That's it. Now we should able to see the logs. npm start. Now we can see proxy created. It means whenever you will call any API from your 4200 port, automatically it will change the target to 8080, and you can also see the log in this console. Now the next task is step 13. We need to install the ng-bootstrap, because we are going to use ng-bootstrap carousel for the slider, for the movie slider, right? So we have around 7 or 8 movie inserted, so we want to see that using slider. When you will click on this arrow, it will change the screen of the movie. So let's install this ng-bootstrap, and when you will install this, it will do the changes in some of the file. So we can see package.json file will get updated, the dependency, and some of the configuration will get updated. So main changes are in style.css, and in the app-module.ts file it will register the ngb module, and in the style.css file it will add the bootstrap css. Okay, so let's run this command. Open one more new terminal. So would you like to proceed? Yes. Now we can see some of the files got updated automatically. Now the next task is we need to install the font awesome in Angular. So in Google, search for font awesome for Angular. And here we can see the npm.js for font awesome for Angular. You can see currently there is no description or data to read. There is some issue in the npm, or maybe this in this dependency. So first click on the readme and it will change the root. Now refresh this page. Now we can see the documentation. So we need 3 modules here. One is font awesome, svg core, free solid svg icon, and Angular font awesome. So I already have this dependencies here, so I will copy from here and paste into our project. Now our font awesome is also installed. Now let's move to the next task. It is about step 15, Angular app structure. So if you will see, this is our Angular app structure. So we have first app component.html or app component. Here we have navbar component and router outlet. And when you will load the first page, means home page, our home component will get loaded. When you will click on the play button icon, it will change the route to trailer component, and when we click on the review button, change the route to the review component. Now let's move to the next task. So we are going to create all these 4 components. So we are going to create this component inside components folder using Angular CLI. So let's copy one by one command in terminal. So it will create the navbar component in components folder. Let's see. Yeah, it is created navbar component. Create home component also. So some issue, so let's recopy. Now let's create trailer component. Now let's create the review component. After creating the component, the next task is step 17. Here we need to configure the route. So we have app-routing.module.ts file. Here we need to configure the route. So first path is our home page. So it should be empty, and component is home component. Second path is trailer component, so trailer, and component is trailer, and the last path is review, component is review component. So when we launch our application, by default home component will loaded, and manually we will redirect to this component when user will click on the play button and the review button. And after that also update navbar component into app component.html. We already saw the structure. So after app component we are having navbar component and router outload component. Go to app component.html, remove all the boilerplate code, navbar component, and router outlet component. So we have added app navbar in app component.html and router outlet. Here our, based on the route, the component will get loaded. So let's see how our UI is looking like. So we can see navbar works, home works. Okay. Now the step 18 is create template for navbar component. So we need to go to a bootstrap framework. Here we can see some example related to the navbar. So let's go to bootstrap. So we can see this example. So copy this example and paste in our app navbar component. Go to component navbar. So after that we should able to see the navbar. Okay, but if you will see, we just need the one home icon, so that if we are on the review page or if we are on the trailer page, we will navigate back to the home page. We don't need currently this extra functionality, so we can remove all the content from this navbar. we are going to use font awesome home icon, and this we don't need. Background, so let's currently see home. We will change this home to the home icon, so we can see here home, but currently text.white is not working, so let's change from here to here. So yeah, now it is in white color. Now let's add this home as a home icon. So we need to pull the free solid svg icon. So if you will go to way to programming, you can see this fa home from the fort awesome free solid svg icon. Copy this, but before that we need to register our font awesome module. So go to app module, font awesome. Okay, now we need to copy this fa home from fort awesome free solid icon. Go to navbar component. Okay, so some issue here, I import. Okay, now let's create the instance variable for fa home. Okay, now we can use this fa home here, but here we need to say font awesome icon, fa icon. Let me verify it is, yeah, fa icon, and then icon, right, fa icon. So let's save all the file, control k s. Okay, now we can see home icon is displaying fine. Now let's move to the another task. It is step 19, create template for home component. So our home component should be looking like this. It is a home screen sample. So go to ng-bootstrap and go to pause and cycle carousel, right? So this is the carousel, and here we have the code for this pause and cycle code. Copy all the content from here to, one second, here to ng carousel, and paste in our home component. Okay, and after that go to carousel pause.ts, copy all the content till this only. We need only the instance variable, and paste here. Now we don't need this slide functionality, like on slide we are not doing anything currently on slide, so remove this. Interval for the changing the screen is to 1000 seconds, so let's say currently 2000 seconds, and this two thing functionality we need. So pause on hover and pause on focus, this two we needed, and let's remove this all. And here we need this currently for temporary purpose, so because it is just generating the images. So, and here we are iterating the images, so let's save this, control k s. Now we should able to see the slider. It is not displaying slider, so the reason is we need to register the slider module, right? So go to here, we did all this, fine. Okay, so the reason is we need to restart the server after installing the ng-bootstrap, so that step we forgot. So let's restart the server again. Okay, so we can see now slider is displaying, but currently it is not proper, so that is fine. Now let's move to our application. So we have done the task up to this, yeah, we have this all in our component. Now we need to create the carousel image to image. It is some typo, so we will fix this. So let's create this carousel image class and we will make this full screen class, right? So let's add this class to this image, and before that we need to refactor this some code from here. So let's remove this. We don't want to navigate when we click on the carousel image, so let's remove this. This default CSS also we don't want. Okay, here now we need to add now let's first check what is the changes in our UI. There should not be any. Yeah, everything is looking like previous. So let's add the class carousel image, and we want to make this image 100% for each device, right? So we want to say width 100, view width. So for example, if we are using mobile, so according to that it will apply the full width, and if we will use browser, according to that it will apply full width, and height 100, view height. Okay, but if you will see we are using here navbar, so it is already having some height, right? Currently it is not working, so let's save all the file. Now we can see it is full screen, but we need to scroll little bit. So for that we need to adjust this height. We need to minus this height. So how to minus? Inspect, and when you hover on this element, you can see here 752.8 40 is the height, right? So we need to minus 40 from this. So let's say calculate height 100, view height minus 40 pixel. So now it should not. So sorry, actually I was taking the height from this div, but we should take the height from app navbar div. So here you can see the height is 56. So let's update the height here 56 pixel. Now we can see there is no scroll. By default it is loaded on the full screen. Now the next task is we need to add trailer image, play icon and review button on top of the slider like this. So we can see this is our trailer image, this is our play icon, this is our review. So to do this, if you will see, this is in one row. So we are going to create here, we are going to create one div, and that div will be the flex. So by default flex will be in raw direction, right? So we will put in first div image bar poster, and then ff font awesome icon for play button, and then review button. So let's create this CSS. So this is our parent div. So inside this let's create another div. Let's follow the class like this. Class name is movie details, and it will have the three child class. So first class will be containing the image poster, and second div is containing the font icon, and third div is containing the button. So if you will see, we want to show the poster, right? So currently let's bind this image to the poster also. Poster means we are talking about this area, we are talking about this. So image is source, and we need the play button icon. So to insert the play button icon we need free solid icon, right? Free SVG solid icons. So free solid SVG icon, and it will have the play FA play circle. Copy this code, go to our home component, paste here, and now add the instance variable for this. And in the FA icon we need to add the path, and this path is the FA play button icon. Sorry, it is not path, it is icon. Okay, let's reload. After saving all the files, let's refresh the application and see if poster is displaying. Yeah, poster is not displaying currently. So the reason is, if you will see this div we want on top of this div, right? So this div is the, we should give the position for this div is absolute, so that it will be relative to this div. So let's create the CSS for this class. So first we want to display as a flex, and then by default flex direction is raw. If you don't give this property then also fine. And we need to say position, it should be absolute, and left, let's say 10%. so we want to see this from the left side, 10%, and top is 10%, so that it will be away from the screen, 10% away from the left side and 10% away from the bottom. We want to see from the bottom, right? So now you can see this image is displaying, but currently nothing is proper. Let's not worry about. So, and after that, in the image here we need to create one more class. Let's take the same name as this. So movie poster image, let's create the CSS for this. So let's give the height 300 pixel, width let's give 200 pixel, and we need border 2 pixel solid gold, and then border radius, border radius 10 pixel. Let's format this Alt Shift F and Control K plus S to save all the files. Let's refresh. Now we can see it is displaying poster. Now we need to make this button in the center. These two buttons should be in the center. So let's take the same class, this. So create the play button icon class. And this button is having the class button from bootstrap. Anyway, we are going to change the color to gold. So review button, this is our review button class. Here we will give the gold button color. So let's create the CSS for play button icon. It should have color gold, and font size is 3 rem. 1 rem means 16 pixel, so it is around 48 pixel. Cursor pointer, okay. And when we hover on this play button icon, so play button icon : hover, So we need to say change the font size to 4 rem. Okay, but this transition we want smoothly, so here let's say transition delay 0.3 second. Control K S to save all the file. Now we can see play button icon is working fine, and here one more thing we need to say, color is white. Okay, now this button we need to say review button, so we already given the class here review button. Copy this. Okay, so first is we want color gold. Refresh, nothing happened. Here we need to say reviews. Okay, sorry, actually we need to say here background color instead of color, so that it will change the background color of the button. Okay, now we need this all the button in the center with some space. So this is our grid, right, in the movie details. Let's add few property in the movie details. This is the flex, right, and this flex is containing the 3 divs, and we are aligning all the 3 divs in the raw direction. So in the first div we are having poster, in second div we are having play button icon, in third div we are having the review button icon. Now we want this to all the 3 divs align vertically center and some space between in all the 3 divs. So how we can achieve this? So here we have 2 property, one is justify content and another is aligned items. So since this is the flex direction row, so justify content will handle the horizontal area and this will handle the vertical area. So if we will change the direction to column, then this 2 property will work opposite. So let's add here, since now it is handling the horizontal area, so horizontally we want space between, and align item we want center. So let's see how our UI is looking now. We can see it is aligned vertically center, but there is no space because we didn't define the width for the whole container. So for this flex container we haven't defined the width. So let's say width is 100%. Now let's see. So we can see now it is 100% and space is also there, but button is not displaying. So the reason of that is we are having this left and bottom space. If we will remove this, then we can see sorry, let's take bottom only, remove the left. Now we can see it is in the 100 width it is taking. So we want to need actually left 10% also. So let's minus this from here. So how to minus? Calc 100% minus 20%, so that it will align properly. So now it is looking good. And we also want to change the color of this review button text. So we want this as a black color. So play button icon, color is gold. Sorry, review button icon, right? So color is black. Okay, now our screen is looking fine. So now let's start the development of trailer component template. We have already completed the development of home component template. So in this trailer component we are having nothing, just embedded YouTube link that will play the video. So if you will see here, it is the bootstrap class ratio 16:9, so that it will make the screen full screen. And here we are having the iframe. Here we need to dynamically update the source and title that we are going to integrate in further task. and these are the common property: frame border 0, and allow some property like autoplay, allow full screen. Let's copy this code and paste in our trailer component. Currently we hard coded, we will replace this as a dynamic value later. So let's see. So now our trailer component is started running the video. Now let's start working on the step 21, create template for review component. So this is the sample for review screen. So if you will see the main screen, like main container is having black color, and this main container is containing two div. In the first div we will have the poster, and another div we have the text area form and the reviews. So let's start the implementation. Let's open HTML and CSS. So we want main container, review container, and this container is containing the two div, and in the first div we want to have the image poster image. So type img and enter. And in the next we want to have some bootstrap form, so I will copy that from here. So this is the bootstrap form with the floating form. So here we can see form floating bootstrap class, and this is text area. This code we can either copy from bootstrap also. It is just a small form, and then after we need to display the reviews. So for that we have to say div. So let's say paragraph as a one review, and test1, test2. Here class and margin dot top 3, and text dot color is white. So we want, then only we can see this reviews because the background is black. So let's define the CSS for the main container. So first is width we want 100 view width, and height, minimum height we want 100. Sorry, let's calculate 100 view height minus 56 pixel. So why we are doing minus 56? Because we have the navbar here that we are minusing. So now let's see the review screen. Yeah, currently it is not displaying black color and all. Let's add the CSS. So background color we want as a black, and it is a display flags because we want another. Inside this we have two div, right? So this two div we want horizontally, so that's why we are saying display flags, and flags direction raw. Now let's refresh UI. Okay, so now let's add here some sample image, so we can use the image from our home page, right? So go to home page and take this poster image, or we can just add it as HTML. Copy this source and paste here. Now let's go to the reviews, or we can just click on the review button now also. But we have not yet implemented this. Okay, so go to review like this. Okay, so far so good. Now we want to take this content in the center. So we are already using display flags, right, and flags direction row. So justify content will make this content as a center. So now we can see it is in center, and we want some space between these two div. So how we can achieve this? So this is the parent container, and arrow and target the immediate child. So it will update all the immediate child of this container. So let's say here padding to em 32 pixel. Yeah, now it is looking a little bit good. Now we need to make some changes on this image size. So let's give the size of this, let's give the class for this image is poster image, poster image, poster image. Let's add the property here, border radius 10 pixel, border we want 2 pixel solid gold, and width let's say 320 pixel, and height will adjust accordingly. So yeah, so this is looks fine now. So now we are starting working on the step 22, but before that I want to inform you, in the step 21 we worked for the review template, right? So till 21 we have completed all the HTML and CSS related design work, and from step 22 we are starting our real development in Angular. So in Angular we are going to use new feature of Angular 16, that is Angular Signal. So if you don't know about Angular Signal, please go through the link provided on top of this video, or you can see in the description of this video also. So let's get started. So first we need to register HTTP client module in our app-module.ts file so that we can call the API. So HTTP client module in the imports section, enter at the end of this, and for to format this Alt Shift F, and then we need to import this, right? So we can click end of this HTTP client module and control space, and it is saying no suggestion. So some modules are not giving suggestion, so either we can type and paste. So I am going to paste. Now the next task is we need to create the model or interface for the movie. So if you will see, this is the structure available in our MongoDB, and so if you saw when we worked for the get movies call, this structure we were getting in our Postman, right? So same structure we are going to create for our model inside in this models folder. So we are going to generate the interface inside the models folder, and the interface name is movie. So let's copy this command, paste it. Okay, now our interface is created here, and we can copy paste this attribute because just to save some time, and we have to create review interface also. Either you can create another interface and import here, or else you can define the review interface in the movie also, it is totally fine. Now the next step is we need to create the HTTP service file. From this HTTP service file we will be calling the API using HTTP client from the Angular common HTTP package. So let's create the HTTP service file. So we created this service file inside the services folder, and name of the service file is HTTP. So we can see here HTTP service file. Now if you will see, this is the APIs available for our movies. So we can define this URL, movies URL, or we can say here movie API slash API slash v1 slash movies, and we are going to get the movies in this task, right, in the task 22. So let's write the code, and before that we need to have HTTP client we want to call get call, and this get call will return the movie object, right? And it will have the array of movies, so we are going to return this. Now here we need to provide the movie URL. Okay, so finally this get call will return in the format of observable, and then it will containing the movies. Now the next task is we need to create the movie service file. So from the movie service file we will be calling the HTTP service that we created just now, and in this HTTP service we have get movies to get the movies from using HTTP client, and then finally we are assigning the movies to our signal. So Angular, it is Angular 16 feature. So why we are maintaining the data in the service? Because all the routes are sharing the data, so we are maintaining the data in the service file. So let's do this. Create the movie service, and in the movie service let's define the movies signal. So how to define signal from the Angular core, and currently it is having the no null data, right? Empty value. So by default signals are writable signal, and if you want to explicitly give the type, we can give here writable signal, and the type of this writable signal is movie array. Okay, so we have defined the signal. Now let's create get movies function, and take the dependency of HTTP service. We are calling get movies function that we created in the HTTP service, and here we are, once we get the response we will subscribe, and here we have the data available inside this object, response available here. So we will set the movies here, movies set and data. Okay, so now whenever we will call this function get movies, it will update the value in this variable. Now the next task is update home component, call the get movies. So we need to call this get movies function from the home component, remove the image variable from the TS file and HTML file. So we can see currently we are iterating here image variable from the carousel of Angular power, right? This we are iterating. These are the image currently we are iterating, so we are going to replace with our movies, and then we are updating the binding to display those value in UI. So let's do this. Go to home component, and first remove this movies, and in the constructor we have to call the API. So to call the API we need the dependency of movie service. Okay, and then this dot movie service dot get movies. Now it will call the movie service and update the data in this movie signal. So we need to give this as a public, right? Because we want to read the movies in our HTML. If you will give private, then we cannot access this variable in the HTML. So let's give public, and movie service dot movies. And how to read signal? Just apply the function. Now we got the movies here. change this image to movie, or maybe temp movie. So if you will see in the MongoDB, this is the background image. So here we need to give the backdrop. So backdrop is available here, backdrop, and there are a lot of backdrop, but we need only one currently, so we are targeting the index 0 of backdrop. So give temp movie dot backdrop index 0. It is backdrops, and now here we need to give the poster, right? This is the poster area. So temp movie dot poster, and yeah, title also we need also change. I'll make this as a title, temp movie dot title. Okay, so all looks fine. Let's see if it is displaying in the UI. Yeah, now we can see this is our poster, this is the backdrop, and when we click, it will change the screen, and if you will not hover on this, it will automatically change the screen. So you can see it is automatically changing. Now the next step is step 23, implement the navigation to trailer and review page. So when we click on the play button icon, we should redirect to the trailer page, and when we click on the review button, we should redirect to the review page, and we already defined the configuration in the app routing for that. So review, so we are redirected to this. Now we need to map to this review button, and also we are going to map one more thing. So let me tell you, trailer. So we are going to map here the imdbId also. So how to map this imdbId and what is the use of this? So when we refresh our application, that time we can use this imdbId to fetch the data, right? So let's do this. So the first step is we need to update this imdbId in our app routing file. So go to app routing module and /imdbId. This we called as a path params, and same we need here imdbId. Here colon means this is the dynamic value we will pass through the URL. Okay, now if you will load your component, it won't work. Now we can see the component is not loading because we need to provide the path param now onward. So how to implement further step is, now let's see here. Step 2 is we need to add a click handler to the play button and review button. So go to your home component.html, update this to click handler. So home component.html, so play button handler, click handler, click handle play button. Okay, and one more handler we need, handle review button, and here we need to provide the imdbId. So here we are already iterating the movies, right? So take this temp movie, pass it here as a imdbId. Now let's define this function in the ts file. It is taking imdbId, right, and type of this string. Copy this, paste again, and copy this function and change here. Okay, now we need a dependency of router so that we can redirect. This dot router dot navigate. So we want to redirect to the from play button to the trailer page, and ID is imdbId is the next value in this array. Let's copy this complete line, paste here, change the review. Okay, save all the file, Control KS, and refresh this. Let's see play button. Yeah, now we can see the ID and play button component is loaded, and review is not working. Why? Actually it is changing the screen, so we need to change in the home screen CSS. So let's change this width of this movie details, because it is containing all these 3 dips, right? All these 3 dips. So let's reduce up to 35%. Now it is away from this icon, so let's try now. Yeah, now review is also working. Now let's start working on the step 24, integrate the trailer page. So here we have the flow and data flow diagram for the trailer component. So this is the start event, right? And this is our trailer component. So when our trailer component will load, we are going to set the imdb signal. How we will set? We are getting imdb signal from this URL, right? Once we set, in the movie service we define imdb signal as a new variable, and this will give another signal to the computed API. So computed API, what we are computing here? We are computing the selected movie. So how we will compute? We have the movie signal and imdb signal. Based on that we will compute this value, and once we computed selected movie, it will give the signal to another computed, where we are computing the embedded trailer link signal. So why we are computing this? The reason is, if you see, this is we are getting in the database, we are having the trailer link, but we need only the ID of the trailer link rather than having the complete URL, because we are going to embed the video in our trailer page, right? So for that we need only ID. So we are going to calculate the value here. Once we find the embedded trailer link, this we give to our source URL of the embed, right? And here we get the selected movie. With this we can display the title. So let's start the implementation. So first we are going to create the signal, imdb signal, in the movie service. So how to create signal? Go to movie service, define another signal, imdb id. Okay, this is also going to be the writable signal, and this is the containing the string value. So let's give the empty string value as the default. Okay, after that create imdb signal in the trailer component. So here if you see in the trailer component, we are reading this imdb param from here, and then we are setting the imdb signal. So once we set here, then this flow will start. So let's read and set this value in the trailer component. I am going to close all the component. So in the constructor we need first the activated root to read this value. So here is the param map, in that call get, and pass the app routing value. So we provide, this is the value we want to read, imdbId. Once we get, let's assign to imdbId. Here we get the ID. Now we need to set. So for that we need the dependency of service. So movie service so imdbId and set this id. So imdbId is having set function. Okay, it is saying argument of type string and null is not assignable to the parameter of type string, means it is only containing the id as string, but it may have null value also. So for that, how we can fix this? Copy this value, take if condition, so it will enter into this block only when we have the value, or else let's say outside of this, and like this, and say here whenever imdbId is available, then only set it. And another way we can give here this sign, exclamation sign. So now we set the imdb signal. Now what it will do, it will set the value of imdb signal in the movie service. Now we have to compute the selected movie. So how to compute it? Go to movie service and take the API computed, create another signal, selected movie, and here let's say computed. It will have the function inside it that will execute by default, right? So here we need so here we are having dependency of two things, one is movies and another is imdb. With this we need to fetch the selected movie. So if this dot movies signal having data, so let's iterate this movies for each, or we can just say find, so it will have movies here, and movie dot imdbId equal to whatever the imdbId it has, this dot imdbId. Now we got the movie, right? So let's say find okay movie, temp movie. So this movie we find it. If we are able to successfully find, so let's return from here selected movie, else return from here null. Okay, so now it is looks all fine, but what is saying, okay, and or else we can ignore this else from here, and we can just target the whole flow from here. So if movies is not there, return the null, and give the type here. So this is the type containing the movie or null. It can contain the movie or null. Sorry, actually this we are computing, so it is not a writable signal, it is just a signal that we can read only. Okay, and here we are returning null. It is not a good practice. Rather than this, we can should actually return the default value. So let's create the default value here, default value of movie, or we can say default movie, and here we are going to return the movie. This is the interface we created, right? So we got backdrop. Let's give default value empty array, generous empty array, imdbId string, poster string, release date string, abuse id empty array, title empty string, trailer link empty string. Let's format it and call this from here. So it is actually good practice to return the movie always, so that we will not get null related issue. Okay, so now we computed the selected movie. So how we compute it? We just set it the imdb, it will call this computed function automatically, and here we are returning the selected movie. Once it is computed, we are starting another computation for the embed trailer link, because we need to get the id of that video, and based on that we will embed the link. So let's generate this logic. So I am going to copy this code again and paste here. Here we will say embed trailer link. So this embed link is depending on the selected movie, right? In the selected movie we have the trailer link. In the trailer link we have the YouTube video ID, and we need the YouTube video ID. So we are going to create this function get the video ID. So let's create here get the video ID. So here we are going to pass the URL, and it is in type of string, and we are going to return so URL dot index of. So if you will see the URL pattern, in that we will always have this question mark v equal to. So with this identity we can trace out the index of this initial point, and then we can add 3 in that, so that it will return the ID. So let's do this. So index of question mark v equal to and plus 3. So now we get the real index where the video ID will start, and finally we will say URL dot substring, and this is the starting point for this substring. So let's say if your index is found on index 29, we will add 3 there, and it will start taking the ID of that video. So now we will get the ID using this function of the video, and here we need to construct the logic for the embed trailer. So let's update the logic. So this embedded trailer link is depending on the selected movies. So we have the now selected movies. Now after that we need to find the video ID. So how we can find this dot get the video ID. Whenever we have selected movie, then we are executing, right? And once we find, here we have the trailer link. So we get here video ID. So we have here video ID. Now we need to actually, this is our embed trailer link, this is our hard-coded data. We have to just bind here the video ID. So let's take this and return from here. So we have to give this as a back tag, so that we can use the feature of ES6 to bind the variable. Now we can return from here, as if we don't find the selected movie, return the empty string. Okay, now here we are seeing signal of let's say string. Okay, now let's see if it is working or not. Embed trailer link, go to your trailer component. We already have dependency of movie service, but currently it is private, so let's change to public so that we can read the value. Now we need to replace this hard-coded value, right? So make this as a binding, and movie service dot go to service movie, copy this signal, paste, and function. Okay, let's save all the file and see if it is working. Go to home, it is not working. So let's see what is the problem. So we can see unsafe value used in a resource URL context. So here we are getting the security issue. But if you will see on the home page, when we bind the same URL using ng-4, we are able to bind this without any security error. It means ng-4 is having security check by default. So we have to manually sanitize this URL. So how to sanitize? We need in our DOMs, in our movie service, DOM sanitizer. So sanitizer, DOM sanitizer. It is from the platform browser. So let's use this and call from here this dot sanitize dot bypass trust resource URL. Okay, bypass trust resource URL and paste here. Now let's see if it is working or not. And here also let's call from here also empty string. Now it is complaining safe resource URL type signal safe resource URL is not assigning to string. So let's say safe resource URL. Okay, let's see if it is working now. Refresh, play button. Super, it is working. Looks like ID is not correct calculated. So see what is the problem here. Inspect, or else we can use the effect to see the embed trailer link value, right? Effect signal having effect support. So console.log embed trailer link. Okay, so go to home page, play button. So this is the safe resource URL. Okay, what is the problem here? So actually it is embedding, I think, 2 times. Let's try one more time. Clear. Okay, so here we have http youtube.com embed and then again. So let's see what is the problem. So let's put this video ID in a console. Okay, go to home page, click on trailer and see the ID. Okay, video ID is not printed by video ID is printed here. So it is printing the complete URL. So it means issue in the video ID logic. So we find it index and then we are adding. Okay, so actually we are adding in the index itself, so it will return the finded index value, right? And then we have to plus 3 because it will find initial value wherever it matches. So these are the 3 characters. So we don't want to read this value, so that we have added 3 here. Now let's see if it is returning the YouTube ID. Play. Okay, now it is returning video ID and the video also started. Now let's start working on step 25. So here we need to insert some review from the Postman so that we can work on the integrate review page task. So let's go to the Postman. It is the reviews API. So let's take actually the imdbId from here. So currently this one review is there for the first imdbId. So insert some more. send. Okay, there are now 2 reviews, so let's see. Okay, now we are getting 2 reviews. Now the next task is integrate the review page. So to integrate it, we are going to have the same data flow. So first we will set the imdbId. This task we also done in the trailer page component. Once we set, we are going to give the signal to imdb signal. It will compute the reviews for selected movie, and then we are going to display the reviews for the selected movie in the review component. So let's implement this. Go to the review page, and I am going to copy this code because it needed the same code. So let's copy. Okay, so here we don't need this exclamation mark because we are already checking null here. Now fine, and here also we don't need, so we are already checking in if, so remove it from here. Now we need to compute in the movie service. So here let's say reviews for selected movie. Okay, and why can't we show the selected movie we already have? So why can't we use this signal, right, rather than computing again? So let's try this. So go to the reviews HTML here. Let's iterate this in the ng container, put again here paragraph, and we have movie dependency, very good, public also. So let's say here ng4, so selected movie, we need selected movie OVIE signal, and then reviews IDs, right? So this will have the reviews. Now let's say let review of this, but why it is complaining? So property review ID does not exist in the movie. So let's see what is the ID in the movie. Review IDs. Okay, let's integrate review dot, so body, right, it contains the body. Remove this. And why it is giving the error? Because we were defining the new signal, so it is not needed actually. So let's see if it is working fine. Close this, try now. Reviews, super, it is working. Previously I was calculating this way, but it is not needed because we already have the selected movie signal, and we have used the already computed selected movie signal. So far so good. Now the next step is step 27, post the review. So to post the review, we have to register two module, reactive form module and forms module, to get the common functionality. So when we submit the form, if you worked on the PHP related application, when we submit the form, it will refresh the page, right? So those kind of default behavior it will avoid if we will use forms module. So let's register this two module in app module. Okay, now we need to add the review API also, and then we have to create one more function, post review, and then this is our post review request interface, because we are going to pass the imdbId and request body from our UI client, and we already tested this through the Postman. So let's say here review API and post call. So this is the interface for the request, and it is a review API. This review data we will send through the review component. So now the next task is we need to create form control and submit the form. So we are going to create this review new form control, and it is a required field. So go to the review.ts file, create this control. Okay, now in the HTML we have to give here form control. Okay, after that we need a HTTP service to call the post call. So let's take this dependency, and after that we are going to call this on submit function when our form will get submitted. So let's define this function in the HTML. So here we need to say ng-submit and give the function name. Okay, this is our post review request in switch map from the RxJS. So here we are checking if the form value is null or empty or any form error, then do nothing, and then if all good, then construct the request and send the imdb and request body to the this post call. So after that we are calling the post review, sending the request, and then we are switching the map, because if we will not switch then we have to subscribe 2 times. So to avoid that we are calling another function get movies once the response is back from the post call, and then we are subscribing and setting the new movies where we will get the reviews also. So let's save all the file. Let's try if it is working or not. So but we also need to map this, right? So let's map this also. So we already have selected movie, and in that we have poster. So movies, movie service HTML. Here in the right side, make this as a binding, say this as a movie service, selected movie signal, and then poster, right? Let's say if it is displaying, it will not display if we will directly refresh. So let's go with this. Yeah, now it is displaying fine, and try the posting review. So post review also working. Now the next task is when we refresh, so it should display the selected movie, and when we play and if we will refresh, then also it should work. So to fix this we need to call the HTTP call to get the movies when our component is getting loaded. So when we let's call this function get movies, because we are calling this get movies at home page, but we are refreshing this component, so our home component is not getting loaded. So let's call in the constructor here, and trailer also. Hope it should work now. Yeah, now we can see trailer and the reviews. Okay, very good. So this task step 28 we already implemented. So on refresh our functionality was breaking, so we have added this function, right? So but we didn't provided the if condition. So we should actually call the get movies only when the movies are not available. Otherwise when you will come from this play button and reviews, then also unnecessarily API call will go. So to avoid this we can add the if condition. So I'm not going to do this, because anyway we are going to refactor our find selected movie functionality. So if you remember, we developed one API, we can get the movie by using imdbId. So this is one API we developed in the Spring Boot. So we are going to use this function. And how to refactor in the update movie service, we are going to remove the imdb signal. We don't need now that imdb signal, and remove the selected movie computed signal. Instead create the selected movie signal with default value. So we already have default value signal, so we will assign the default value here. Create get movie function to call the get movie by imdbId of HTTP service file and setting the selected movie. It means we will call the get movie from here, and directly we will set rather than calculating the selected movie or computing. So previously we were computing, now we were directly set from the API. And another refactor is update the trailer component. So previously, like, we were setting the signal and then signal was computing the value from the all movies. So now we can just call the movie service. We have the imdbId in both the component, so we can just call the get movie service. So let's refactor this. So the first changes is we need to create one function, get movie by imdbId. So go to our HTTP service file, paste here. So our movie API we need, okay, and after that we need to remove the computed signal. So go to movies. So now we are not going to compute this, right? So let's give the default movie. How to give this dot default movie, but it is not going to take because it is a signal. So let's create the signal first and call this dot default movie. Okay, now we have default movie here. After that we need to call the function to get the selected movie using imdbId. So set selected movie. Now let's give this as a, so this is now is a writable signal, not a signal, so that we can set. Okay, all good. Control K S to save all the files. Now we are going to remove the imdbId also, right? Signal, this signal also not needed. Remove this in the trailer component. So call the function get movie and remove this set, right? And this now we don't need. Okay, here also say change this. Now refresh our application and see if it is working fine. Okay, review. So review is looking good, and trailer.
We are gathered here today to say
Review trailer is also working fine, and let's refresh and see if it is looking good. Yeah, refresh is also working. So now we are calling the get movie API. So yeah, we can see we are calling ID with imdbId, and we got the movie based on the imdbId. So very good. With this our front-end development also completed. So hope you like this video. I will need your support. Please like and subscribe for more full stack development related projects.